heart's a joke you broke. Your love life's the away. It's like.
Hi, and welcome to episode 7 of West End Talks. Just to let you know, my name is Graham, and I make jokes when I am uncomfortable. And can I be any more excited for tonight's chat? So I've given you some clues on who we've got. Tonight we are going to Friendsical the musical, the comedy parody. And we have Thomas Mitchells, who has most recently been Chandler Bing in Friendsical. I was the Big Bopper in Buddy Holly, sorry. He was in Rocket Man the film, and he was also he's a voiceover king. He's done loads of voiceover work. We're going to talk about that and lots more during the night. So for a start, let's welcome Thomas Mitchells.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you very much for joining us.
Pleasure.
It's pleasure's ours, definitely. It's great to get to know you and a bit about the musicals, or more so the musical that you were in most recently, which is obviously the Friendsical the musical. But we have other questions as well throughout the day. And so, but we'll get started. And we'll start, as the fans always know, which is our starter for two. Mm-hmm. And the first question is, what got you into performing?
Well, kind of a normal route, really. I was very much in the school plays, quite later on in the secondary school period, and then I had my first professional acting job in a small-scale touring pantomime around working men's clubs and places around the West Midlands.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Oh, yes, I did. And it was off through a friend that I got this little touring job, and that was when I started my performing career. But really, it really started when I was, I think, Leper 2 in Jesus Christ Superstar when I was in year 8, and I had the line, "See my eyes, I can hardly see." And that was a stamp on my musical theatre career.
That was what made you realise that's what you want to do.
That was the bug right there. I got it.
So you've talked about your first role, obviously there is the leper, and obviously there's a pantomime. But what was your first professional role?
Well, my first professional role was playing, like I said, in the touring pantomime realm. I was Prince Michael of Arboria in Sleeping Beauty that went around the West Midlands in working men's clubs. I went to beautiful places like Smallheath, Bilston, Edgbaston, all Erdington, all those lovely West Midlands places, performing in my hometown of Tamworth as well. And that was my first job. I was 17 years old.
Very cool. And that was at the highlight of your career so far?
It was one of them, because it was one of them. I learned a lot as this fresh-faced, baby-faced 17-year-old 3 stone ago. And
we've been in lockdown, don't worry.
Yeah.
We're all the same.
And yeah, no, it was something that was the first time I properly got to learn how to interact with a crowd and learn about live performance, whereas before then my prior experience was working in Amdram and school plays. So to actually get some professional insight, and having a director who has herself, the late Janice Rallens Hall, she sadly passed away, who taught me a lot in my first couple of years of giving it a go. And then it all just, even now when I'm in theatre, I still use things that I learned from her from my very first job. But my actual highlight, if I had to give one highlight of my theatre career, it was being in the Buddy Holly story, because that was my theatrical debut, where I was thrown onto the stages of Manchester Palace and Liverpool Empire and Belfast Grand Opera. And that was a really, really special year for me.
You came to Glasgow, didn't you?
I did. The Kings. The Kings was that was a great week, because it was my birthday whilst I was in Glasgow, and I was a bit frugal on where I stayed during the tour, because it was my first tour. So I thought, oh well, I'll just go to the cheapest places and save as much money as I could. But for that week, I decided to treat myself, and for my birthday, I stayed in the Premier Inn next door to the King's Theatre,
Yes.
which was wonderful. Ah, the commute, 2 minutes to get to stage door.
Was it even
I
2
timed
minutes?
it. It was 2 minutes.
Oh, was it
I
2
timed
minutes?
It was brilliant.
Because it literally is right next door. Yeah, I've seen that a few times when I went to the King's.
Yeah, I love Glasgow theatres. They're great. The King's Theatre I did Buddy in, and then the other venue I went to was the Glasgow Pavilion.
Oh yeah, the other big theatre.
I did the East Coast Boys Big Girls Don't Cry show,
All
Frankie
right.
Valley tribute show in there, and getting about what 1,200 boozed up Glaswegians was the best experience. You felt like you were in the Beatles.
The closest you'll come, yeah.
Yeah.
Glasgow audiences are, yes, they're either fantastic or they're interesting. There's nowhere really in between the Glasgow or Scottish audience.
I've been to some cracking places in Scotland. I've been to Greenock.
Greenock, yeah.
Yeah, and that was a brilliant. That was such a funny experience doing the theatre there. That was
Is it the Apps Theatre, I think it's called? Is it not?
Yeah, and you think something's going to get thrown at you.
a glass bottle or something.
In praise, though, they'll throw something at you in praise.
Actually, yeah,
with affection.
You've got the Scottish audiences down. That's definite. Anyway, moving on, we will hold no responsibility for the next set of questions.
Okay.
Because the next set of questions comes from your fans or fans of the shows that you have been in. And the first question, we ask all questions that come from our fans or into our inboxes. Mm-hmm. And the first question is probably the most interesting question we've ever received from a guest. And it was, what was it like captaining the Team GB Rugby Sevens team at Rio?
Right.
And I'm like, I got this in the inbox. I'm like, okay. I think you have the wrong person. So I researched it. It's a guy called Tom Mitchell.
Oh, right. Yeah, I get this a lot. Okay. I get this a lot where I get mistaken for other people that have the surname Mitchell as opposed to Mitchells. And it's quite funny because I get it so many times when I've had it in press, I've had it in reviews, I've had it in email inquiries. And they just forget that S. And I did a thing ages ago because Thomas Mitchell was like a silver screen actor who was in Gone with the Wind.
He was, yeah.
Yeah, and every time that my name gets mentioned in press reviews as Thomas Mitchell, they come up in like you have this like really like black and white 1940s headshot, stylized headshot of the Thomas Mitchell from Gone with the Wind and It's a Wonderful Life. But yeah, that's so funny. Tom Mitchell, the rugby player. Well, massive shout out to him. I can't remember how he did in Rio. I can't remember how
they were silver medalists.
Oh, they did. Okay. Well, I should follow rugby more because I live in Twickenham, so I live down the road from the stoop in the stadium. So yeah. I should follow rugby a bit more. But massive shout out to Tom Mitchell and his rugby endeavours.
Well, as soon as Ben, I messaged, obviously we got that message in, and I messaged him back saying, look, I think you've got the wrong Tom. And he kind of looked, he come back and he went, I did find it strange that West End Talks were interviewing Tom Mitchell.
Yeah, moonlighting.
I said, no.
Rugby by day, Chandler impression by night.
Yes. Yes. Rio in 2016. Touring the UK in Friendsical in 2019.
What a trajectory that is. Yeah. I mean, you have to come down at some point.
To me, I would say that's a more upwards because I don't like sport, but I prefer musicals. But hey ho, each to their own. So anyway, obviously you can't answer that one. And Ben does apologise, but I thought it'd be funny just to fling that in.
No, I can kind of answer it. I think he had a great time. I think he had a lovely time. He enjoyed the weather. They were happy with silver. They didn't get gold, which is a bit of a disappointment because that's what you're there for. But still, first the worst, second the best. Third's the one with the hairy chest. So they got the best result.
Very true.
Go on, Tom.
Well, thank you very much. I'm sure he'll love that one. We'll need to tag him in it. Anyway, our first proper question tonight is about this small movie that you were part of. You were obviously in this as different characters. When you were a few different names in your CV under this film. And the first question comes from Connor, and he says, "What was it like working on Rocket Man?"
So I had a very strange experience with Rocket Man, because what I did was I did voiceover work for them, because I do voiceover as well as theatre. And with Rocket Man, I was asked if I'd come in with about 19 other people into this room at Shepperton Studios, Pinewood Studios, to go in and record what's called ADR, which means, well, it means a couple of things. It means automatic dialogue replacement or additional dialogue recording, depending on your choices in life. And basically what it is that they'll take a video clip they've filmed and they've edited it and it's all ready to go. But what they do is that they rebuild the sound. So rather than just using the sound that's recorded on set, they go back and they record the sound over the top. And with Rocket Man, because it is basically a musical film, they have the actors miming along to the songs. And obviously, there's all hustle and bustle and everything, but you don't want to hear, Rocket Man being played out of a speaker or something. You want to hear it as like mastered and proper. So what they do is that they basically mute the video and just put everything on top. And my job, along with these other people, is we had to basically just fill the space with what sort of sounds would come out of those bits. So my favorite bit and my most my most prominent bit, the bit you can definitely hear me in the film, is in the Saturday's all right for fighting.
Oh, in the pub.
And it's when they're in the pub, yeah, and they play it right at the beginning. Little Reggie is playing the piano, and then all of a sudden the guy takes a swig of a beer, and then there's a fight between a guy and a guy in a hat.
Mm-hmm.
My job was to basically try and work out what the guy in the hat was saying and doing and reacting, and I had to record as him basically getting into a fight, which was really, really good fun. And we did that for a lot of the film. I got to see a lot of Rocket Man. I didn't even know before I walked into the studio. I didn't know that's what we were doing. We were just told, "Can you come in to record for some crowd work?" And yeah, we just go in and we watch these extras, and we basically try and talk, and whether it's like, if they're really like chanting and clapping and shouting, we'll chant, clap, shout. If they're sort of having like a conversation at a pub table, we'll have like little improvised chats with each other and be really, really quite quiet and say, "Oh, what did you get up to today?" Well, the missus is a bit worried, and you should do work." And we'll do that.
Yeah. And
we do that for hours and hours and hours. And I did quite a few sessions of those, and it was really good fun. There was one moment where the sound designer, for the life of me, I can't remember his name because I've worked with so many, but the guy who was the audio director for the film, there was one moment where he was holding his phone up and he was filming us as we were singing along to Saturday's All Right for Fighting. And then he put it down and just went, "Yeah, Dexter Fletcher's just watched you all shouting and screaming." So that was pretty cool.
I was going to say, that's just a normal Saturday night, isn't it? Just a normal
but
job,
Dexter
Fletcher.
It's crazy though, because it really goes to show exactly how much work goes into film. People don't realize that a lot of the time what you see on screen is a lot more complicated behind the scenes than it actually is. Like, all these people work together to make, say, like 10-15 seconds of film. It really, like, sound is so important in cinema. It's incredible. It was honestly really interesting, and no wonder all these films cost millions and millions and millions of pounds. It was a really cool experience.
No, definitely. So we at the premiere. Did you go to the premiere in London?
No, I held my own premiere with my fiance Natalie. We went for a weekend away in Bournemouth, and we had
exotic.
Yeah, and we stayed in a hotel for a couple of nights, a nice little B&B. And then one thing we decided to do was get some lunch, and we went, "Oh, let's go to the cinema and watch Rocket Man because it's out now." And we got to sit in. It was just us two, and we watched Rocket Man right there, and then we had our own little premiere.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, well, I was at the premiere. I went to the premiere. I was one of the the fans, crazy fans, trying to meet Elton
Were they
John.
all asking for me? I can imagine all
Yeah,
of
they were
them
all
were
saying,
like,
where's Thomas? You know, they were,
where's the guy that went, ah, where's he? Oh man, I
uh,
really wanted his autograph.
yeah, Boy George was there. Elton John obviously was there with his husband. Taron Egerton, you name them from the film. Stephen Green, but no, they were all asking for you, Thomas.
Yeah, it
That's
was
what
a
it was.
great film. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was.
me and Elton go away. If it wasn't for Elton, I wouldn't have got the job. So I have a lot to
Well,
give to Sir
talking
Elton.
about the man himself, Joe wants to know: have you ever met the man himself?
No, I haven't met him.
No.
No, I've met a couple of Elton John tribute artists, if that
That's,
counts.
no offense to tribute artists, but they're not the same.
Well, no, they're not, but that's the point. But I've met Elton John tribute artists. Yeah, I met one. I met one who lived in Staffordshire, and I met another one who worked out in Cyprus for a little bit. So that's the closest I got to the Sir Elton John experience.
That's well, my closest is sitting 2 rows behind him watching the movie.
That's pretty cool.
And watched it, and it was fantastic.
Who would you say is your most famous person that you sat nearby?
Elton John.
You think Elton John?
Elton John's
Okay,
probably.
well, who's the most random, like the most random celebrity or star that you've sat not far from? Is there anyone in particular that you've?
Well, here, I don't like this. The fact that tables have turned. The most random.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been at loads of press nights and theatres, so there's been loads of celebrities. That's why I'm trying to think the most. I'll have a think and I'll get back to you on that one, right?
All right.
I'll have a think as we go on and I'll get back to you. The most random.
Yeah. I've got.
Julie Andrews was at the Mary Poppins.
Oh, that's cool.
Me, but Julie Andrews went to the press night at Mary Poppins. I don't know, like I knew she was sitting. She wasn't anywhere near me, but she's not random. But she's probably the kind of didn't expect you to be here. No, I don't know. Cameron McIntosh appearing sitting in front of me at the Half Sixpence premiere this night.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
That's quite although his production, his theatres, so I kind of wasn't again not random, but there's loads and loads of press nights. That's a kind of hard question. Anyway, moving on because I don't like the tables turning. I'm the interviewer, not the interviewee, Thomas.
It's all about you. The spotlight's on you now, Graham.
No, we'll change that. So Nathan changes it a bit, and this is, what was it like being in a musical based on a legend? And by that I mean this one here. Buddy Holly.
I have a lot of love for this show. It is one of my, like I always say this, it was doing that tour was the best year of my life. It really was. It was very exciting. It was my first UK tour. It was a #1 UK tour. It was a surprise that I got it as well. It was just everything about it was amazing. And the music of Buddy Holly itself is incredible. I'm a big fan of rock and roll and 50s music, and being able to celebrate an artist as young and as iconic as he was, with such a tragic story, with such a tragic ending to his story, was such a brilliant experience. Telling this story to people that grew up listening to Buddy Holly or knew about Buddy Holly because of their parents or grandparents. And at the end of the show, we have this basically where, Glenn Joseph, who I did the show with, and Alex Fobster, they basically, Glenn penned the last 45 minutes of the show as Buddy Springsteen, where you are doing the final concert, the Clear Lake concert at the Winter Dance Party that they did. And it is a Springsteen. It becomes a Springsteen concert where the audience just go nuts, absolutely nuts. And being able to be a part of that experience by celebrating J.P. Richardson, the Big Bopper, and Richie Valens as well, was such a special time, because you also got to be a part of those people, these people's nostalgia trip. you know, it's Buddy Holly all the way through, and at the end you get a taster of a couple of different artists at the end, and you are on a high 45 minutes every second of it. It was brilliant.
Yeah, no, that's definite. I saw it in Glasgow. No, so that's great. I think Buddy is a fantastic story. I'm right in saying he was part of the 27 Club, wasn't he? Or am I wrong in saying that?
No, he was even
He
younger
wasn't?
than that. He was 22 years old.
Because was he only 22 when
Yeah, he
because
was
it was a plane
22.
crash, wasn't it? Or a helicopter.
That's right. Yeah, he was 21, 22. Yeah, and
I always thought
yeah,
he
it
was
was
part of the 27 Club.
yeah the day the music died. It was a very tragic moment. But yeah, some people do mistake him for being older than he was because of the amount of hits that he had. But he did that. His music career, when it took off, it was only about a year and a half, 2 years at most. It wasn't very long at all. And then you liken that to say, well, at the time he was around his age. You look at the rise of Justin Bieber as an example of someone who has like hit after hit. He's just constantly in the charts, and that was what Buddy Holly was like. But then imagine if all of a sudden Justin Bieber just vanished and that was it, and that in the modern day would have an effect, because you go, this young lad was doing so well and his music career was taking off. No one knew really what Buddy Holly was going to do, because he had an amazing success at that time, what he was going to move on and do when he got to the 60s. But that never happened. Obviously that never materialized because he passed away in 59. And he, there was ideas of, he was going to do more producing, or he was going to go into films and acting, because he had his teeth done and he got headshots done, and there was like a shift in what he really wanted to do. And he had so many of these ideas and songs that he was going to write in a recording studio, but he never got to do, which were then covered by the likes of the Philharmonic Orchestra on the Buddy Holly album, which is a gorgeous album if you want to listen to something at Christmas time. It's a lovely thing to listen to, where some of the songs that they did on the album weren't actually officially recorded by him in a studio. They were recorded on some apartment tapes, and you can see the apartment tapes online. Actually, you can listen to them where he's just in his apartment in New York with Maria Elena Holly, and it's just him and a guitar, and he's playing against the apartment tapes. But then the studio that he was under, they obviously had rights to them, and Maria Elena had the rights to them, and then I can't remember what the politics were, but then they recorded the songs and they used his voice on the apartment tape, but then recorded around it to make this like posthumous album, so to speak. And it was amazing. It was an amazing story.
The journalism for that, it's unbelievable. The amount of posthumous, because obviously a lot of people record a lot of things and then they get released that way, but doing it that way is obviously a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
That's a lot harder than what, like,
Yeah,
Amy Winehouse obviously released an album after she died, but that was all pre-recorded stuff. That wasn't like she'd recorded that before she passed away. But things like this obviously were a lot harder to do, even especially more so back when it was done. Obviously now with technology, it's a whole different ball game to back then. But no, it was. But Buddy is the legend. I think is flung about too often these days. But Buddy definitely is a legend.
Yeah, he really was. He really was, because it was just you just have to look at it at how successful he was at that time and how young he was.
Everybody knows him. Like whether you like that sort of music or not, Buddy Holly is a name that everybody knows.
Yeah, and even if you weren't that much into rock and roll music, I guarantee that if you watched the show or you sat down and you listened to a Buddy Holly album, I guarantee there will be at least one song that you've heard of.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
100%. I think everybody will know at least one song.
Yeah.
Whether that's somebody else has maybe covered it, but there's not even many covers of Buddy Holly songs out there, because I think.
Actually, one of the most famous ones is "Not Fade Away" by the Rolling Stones.
Yes. Yeah.
And the Beatles, in the very, very early days before they were called the Beatles, their first album that Paul McCartney recorded was basically a load of Buddy Holly covers. And he now actually owns the Buddy Holly catalogue now, don't you know? Ooh. Yeah.
We're getting some
Yeah,
impressions there.
my mate Tomek Sawinski, who I was in, I did the show with. He was the swing of the show. Incredibly talented musician. He had to basically, as swing, he had to cover about 5-6 instruments in the show,
Wow.
which is insane. And we were in the dressing room together for a year, and he did a Paul McCartney impression, but for some reason it was just like he had to keep wiping his eyes to keep doing a Paul McCartney. And it just got sillier and sillier. Like, you know, when you're in a dressing room with someone for a year, you just start getting weirder and weirder. So by the end of it,
Yeah.
Paul McCartney just turned into, so I wrote a song, you know, I did it with John Lennon at one point. Just got very stupid. Very stupid. And Tom Sawinski is a very stupid man, and I want that on record. I want him to hear this. Tom Sawinski is a very stupid man.
I will soundbite that and we'll tag him in it, right?
Do. He'd appreciate it. He really
Right.
would.
We'll soundbite that.
Yeah, he really will. But yes, he's a very talented man, as stupid as he is.
That's stupid. Yes, he is talented. That's a bit of a comeback there, Thomas. Yes, we'll fling that. He is clever and he is talented. Anyway, Johnny wants to know, what is your favourite Buddy Holly song?
Oh, my favourite Buddy Holly song. Well, I do have a bit of a sentimental thing for True Love Ways. Love True Love Ways. It's just
Why is it sentimental? If you want to tell us.
I'm not actually at liberty to say.
Okay, that's fine.
Because it's, yeah, I can't say because I'll get slapped.
No bother at all.
I can give you an answer for another one. I really, 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 really like. What is it? Rave On.
All right,
Rave On is a really good one. Well, there's so many I like. I love Rave On. I love It Doesn't Matter Anymore. I love Peggy Sue Got Married. There are so many I like. There isn't one I don't like. But I like Rave On. I like Rave On because in the show, not to give any spoilers or anything, but Buddy Holly, the Big Bopper, and Richie Valens die, and Rave On is used as the story arc where we're all together. So I was there as Big Bopper, Jordan Cunningham was there as Richie Valens, and either Glenn Joseph or Alex Foster was Buddy Holly, and we're singing Rave On, and it is like we've got everyone up on their feet and everyone's clapping, everyone's cheering, we're going hell for leather. And then as we're singing the last bit of Rave On, it just cuts to black and you just hear the echo of Buddy saying Rave On, Rave On, Rave On, and it goes completely black, it goes completely silent. So you hit that such a peak. So as a story arc, obviously it's that moment where you go, oh, this is the bit where they tell us he died. And just like the sheer power of storytelling and narrative from that song, I went, oh, it's such a good song to use as well, because it is such a happy song, such a really good song. And then to be able to take all that happiness away, I'll have that. No, thank you. You're not enjoying yourself anymore. You're going to cry for a little bit. Yeah. So Rave On in the show, I think was probably the best song.
That isn't too morbid. It's a bit like Buddy Holly's story, obviously, with the plane. It was like the plane going and then bang.
More or less, yeah. I mean,
I know that sounds so morbid, but
I mean, well, yeah. Effectively, it is very much an in-your-face moment. You know, we go through this journey with Buddy where we're seeing the story, we're seeing him grow up, we're seeing him become a man and maturing into this icon that we all see him as, from just being this naive 19-year-old kid who does a country band, but he doesn't want to be in country music anymore. And he goes through all this, this journey of becoming this incredible musician who put a stamp on rock and roll music, to then just go and vanish. And the same with Richie Valens and the Big Bopper as well. Is the Big Bopper was actually, I think the Big Bopper may have been in the 27 Club. He may have been 28. I'm not sure, but he was also iconic in the music industry because he basically pioneered music videos. He created one of the first music videos. Chantilly Lace is one of the first known recorded music videos in music
Oh,
history. There's a fun fact for you.
there we go. I was about to say
And
the learning day as well as
yeah. I honestly, when I got the role, I was like, I became an encyclopedia of rock
of
and
Buddy
roll
Holly.
history. With I mean, it's faded now, but yeah, the Big Bopper was like in himself was a pioneer in music, and Richie Valens, you know, he had La Bamba. He was able to get such a hit out of La Bamba, which is like a Spanish, it's basically like a birthday song in Spain and Latin America, and he got a number one with that. So it was only like, who knew how far he was going to get?
Yeah.
Because there were the two hits. He had that one, and he had "Come On, Let's Go." Well, come on,
All
darling.
right. Yeah.
That one, and that was his other hit that he had. And you know, he was 17. He was 17 at that point. So who knew where he would have gone from there, as just being 17 years old, basically being the age Buddy was when he started. Effectively, we never got a chance to see what he could have become, which is sad. It is sad.
Yeah. That's
But that's why the musical itself, though, it doesn't play too much on how sad it was. They celebrate how fun that music is, and that's
that's
basically what
a
it is.
celebration of Buddy rather than a sad
Yeah,
story. It
and it
has to
really
touch
is
the sad bits.
yeah, and it really does. It you know, it plays on other parts of 50s music history as well. You know, such as um, rock and roll music being seen as black music, and there was a stigma around rock and roll music anyway in that period, especially in southern states, and being able to celebrate that aspect as well, with the Apollo Theatre scene that we have and the Apollo Theatre concert. I see on the poster as well, in the poster behind you, you can very see him. He's dressed as him as Richie Valens, but he didn't play Richie Valens in my tour. Is Miguel, and he is the Apollo performer. And I went to go see the 30th anniversary Buddy Holly show in Croydon, and he's done nearly, I think, about 1,200, 1,300 shows of the Buddy Holly story now. He's
Wow.
been in it for a long time. He's incredible. And Miguel did, which I hadn't seen before, is the Apollo performer. What's his name? I can't remember his name, but the Apollo performer, he got a solo, and he just goes out on stage and sings Reet Petite and does, you know, jump splits. He just has a whale of a time. The man is incredible, and being able to celebrate that aspect of 50s music as well.
Yeah.
Because obviously things like Reet Petite, it's iconic in itself, and being able to celebrate that kind of music, not just Buddy Holly, was also very special.
Yeah. No, I can imagine. Moving on a wee bit. Jesse wants to know, what is the hardest thing about touring?
Very good question. Touring does have its challenges, and there are things that when I did Buddy, I wish someone had given me some tips and tricks on how to get through touring, because sometimes it is tricky. I mean, I had been used to traveling anyway before this tour. I lived abroad on off 4 years. I lived in Cyprus and Corfu.
Right.
And Cyprus, I lived on my own for part of it as well. So it was, you know, I was kind of used to that sort of isolated aspect. But then when I was touring, I was with my now fiance, Natalie. It was the first time I actually properly experienced that distance of, I'm going to be away for a while. And fortunately, the tour worked out that I was able to get back most times, but sometimes there would be a month when we wouldn't see each other. And it was the first time that had happened. And it was a bit of a struggle.
Yeah, I can
But
imagine.
yeah, it's a bit of a struggle, but you kind of, you learn to get over it. Not get over it, but you learn to cope with it. Things I really struggled with. I really struggled leaving a theatre and not getting a kebab. That was tough. I'm not going to lie. I was never very good at making my own food in my digs. I'd always eat out, or I'd always buy food from somewhere. And obviously when you finish a show, I'd come out, I was starving. I'd immediately go to a takeaway.
Imagine, yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? Some pretty good takeaways out there. There is one takeaway in particular in Swansea that I do not recommend because I didn't do very well the day after.
We'll not name names.
We'll not name names, but just be careful in Swansea if you go to
Anyone in
any
Swansea will
kebab
probably know what
houses.
you're talking about.
Yeah. The food hygiene rating was not great. I'm not going to lie. So there was just things like that, like being away from loved ones is a bit tricky, but then it makes it even more special when people come to visit or people come to watch the show. I mean, Natalie came to see the show so many times because she loved the show itself. But but what was made easier was that we were very, very close, as in cast and stage management team. Everyone that toured together, we were very, very, very close, and a lot of the people in the cast, we still talk very regularly. Even we're now 3 years on from finishing, and a lot of the cast, we're still in the same WhatsApp group we set up. During lockdown, we had weekly Zoom calls, where a few of us are craft beer aficionados, so it basically became a who's got the most fanciest beer. Let's all talk about it and let's catch up on what everyone's up to and just support one another. And we are a really, really close, tight-knit group. We don't see each other as much as we'd like to, but we keep in touch. And that's what you need on a tour, is you need to have, maybe not everyone, because personalities clash. People
You're never going to get on with everybody.
You're never going to get on with everybody.
That's a workplace.
Part of life, and that's a workplace. But you can still be civil. You can still get on with everyone and still enjoy yourself. And one tip I have for people, whether or not you want to do it, is do something that all of you can do together as a team, whether it's on the regular or every now and again, just to kind of realize that what you're doing is not normal and it should be enjoyable. So people will have bad days, bad weeks sometimes, especially if you're doing a show and you're not getting the numbers come in, but you have to take the rough with the smooth of touring. Sometimes you will have Tuesday matinees where about a fifth of the theater is full or even less, and we've had that. We've had that a couple of times in my career, and you have to kind of just embrace the fact that what you're doing is a crazy job.
Yeah,
you're not brain surgeons. You're not going to war. Just enjoy yourself and make the most of it. And so what we did in the Buddy Holly story is we set up a mini golf tournament.
Right.
The Old Yeller tournament, as we called it, which stemmed from, we had to, basically the prize was a yellow golf ball from M&M World. And we did it, and it was just a really, there was no pressure to join. If you didn't want to do it, you didn't have to. But if you did want to play and just have a laugh, you could. And more often than not, a lot of people took part in it, and it was really, really good fun. Really good fun. And that was just a way of keeping a bit sane on tour. That and going to the pub.
Well, I think yes, and yes, definitely. I think glad, especially I can only talk for the Kings because obviously that was my second home in Scotland, because a lot of the touring, a lot of tours go to the Kings.
Oh, it's such a good theatre. I love the Kings. I love it.
But you've also got the pubs like diagonally across. That pub loves when there's a tour because they get the fans, obviously they get the people before the show.
What is the pub called opposite? Where
I knew you were going to ask that.
It's not directly opposite. It's like there's
like a four corners and you've got diagonal.
Hold on a minute, I'm trying to think. So you come out of stage door.
Yeah.
You turn right.
Yeah.
And then there's like the first left on that road, and there's a pub on the corner on the right-hand side of that road. Yeah.
Oh,
I've been in there.
Yeah. So that's the one that they love, because they get the fans before it. So they get the audience before having meals and drinks, and then they'll have the cast in afterwards.
Yeah.
You often see
everyone goes in for their evening dram.
Yeah, you re-stage door and you get them. You sign the programme, and then they'll walk away and they'll just walk straight to that pub.
Yeah.
And the one person will say to the next, "I'll get you across the road." That
Yeah,
was
it's a
literally it.
lovely pub. It's really nice in there.
Yeah, it's a nice pub. Definitely, I've been a few times.
What is it called? I can't remember what it's called.
I honestly can't remember. Like it's been
They should
well,
just call
certainly
it
over a
Over the
year since I
Road.
was in Glasgow.
Just call it Over the Road.
Okay, go for the road or
New
the King's
branding.
Tavern or something. Make it something simple. Anyway, moving on to something that you might not want to talk about, but I'm afraid we're going to have to cover it. You know, it's just a small part of your life recently.
Yeah, it was been
You
and
know,
done.
yeah.
Not enough people have heard about this, I'm sure.
No, I think.
No.
So, in case anyone doesn't know, you were in Friendsicles, the musical, which obviously was the comedy spin off musical to Friends, a very small American sitcom. I don't think many people have watched it.
It's very niche.
Yeah, it's very niche.
Yeah.
It's got a small fan base.
Yeah.
I've watched it numerous times from back to back. I love to try and beat my time on how long I can watch the 10 seasons, how quickly I can watch it. So that's my top challenge. I'm sure everybody's watched Friends at once or another. Love it or hate it. Everybody knows what Friends is.
Mm-hmm.
It's a comedy show that will live the test of time without a doubt.
25 years now.
25 years. Thanks for making me feel old.
Oh.
Like, I don't remember the first time around. I'll be honest. I was too young the first time around because I'm only 29. So I was only 4 when it came out. So I don't remember it the very first time around. I do remember the Channel 4 reruns.
Yeah.
At half 6, just after Simpsons, I think, is when I watched it.
Yeah.
It was the Simpsons and then Friends when they did the reruns. So that's when I watched it, and I've got the box set somewhere in my room now. And I say somewhere, it's just in there. I know where it is. And I've got obviously Netflix had it on and things. So it's a massive, love it or hate it.
Yeah.
You know what Friends is.
Mm-hmm.
And this wonderful musical stemmed from it last year to celebrate the 25th anniversary, or to in conjunction with the Friends 25th anniversary. So how did it come? How did it start? That's the first question. Where did it come from?
So in 2018, the producers that formed the company Birdbrook had an idea for a show, and they wanted to create a show that was a celebration parody of Friends. Obviously, they needed someone to write this, and at the time, they were producing a show called Little Baby Bum Live, which was written by Miranda Larson.
Oh, right, yeah.
And Miranda, when she heard about this project that they were thinking of, they had this idea. Miranda basically said, "Don't give this project to anyone else. Don't give it to anyone else. I want to do it," because Miranda is the ultimate Friends fan. She's first generation Friends fan. She watched it from 1994 onwards. She knows everything about Friends. Never do a Friends seen it with her. Never do a Friends seen it.
Is that from experience, is it there, Thomas?
Right. So one thing that she did was she set up a little warm up game in the first cast of Friendsical, where during rehearsals she'd set up a scene it board game, and our job at the beginning of every day was we all had to go into our teams. I was with Sarah Goggin, who was Monica, and we weren't great. And Miranda would say, "Right, each of you get a question on Friends. It's all like completely random. It gets taken out. You have to answer a question each." And it was effectively who could get round the board the most, and they were the winners of the Geller Cup, basically.
Right.
But obviously, when you're playing with someone like Miranda, she's just going to get around the board like Lewis Hamilton, like straight round. No chance to breathe whatsoever. So yeah, she was the one that really wanted to take part in this, because Miranda's written for all sorts of things. Writing is her bread and butter. She's written shows. She's written for TV, animation. So she really wanted to work on it, and she worked on it from October, and I think after a couple of drafts, eventually we got to June, and rehearsals had started for the show. So it was a quick turnaround in terms of how this show was developed. And so she wanted to make something that wasn't something that took the mick too much. She didn't want to make something that was maybe a bit more damning of Friends, and she wanted to make something that would celebrate it as a parody. You know, you look at things like how Saturday Night Live were with Friends, and how comedy sketches are with like taking the mick out of Friends. She loves Friends, so she didn't want to she didn't want to like rip it to shreds. She wanted
So
to.
she wanted it to be a mimic. She wanted it to be a mirror of Friends.
Effectively, yeah. So she wanted it to be just what I described this as. I said this to Callum Wallace on The Sound of Musicals not too long ago. Is that the show is effectively it's like a smoothie of all of these quotes, all of these references, all of these moments chucked into a blender, and just the buttons held for 2 minutes, and then out comes this musical.
Right, that makes sense. Yes,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
It really, really, really attaches and is designed for those people who are fans of Friends, who get a kick out of just saying we were on a break. Like they get a kick out of shouting it out, or having like an in-joke with their friends, which is a friend. Yeah. So, you know, any kind of quote that you enjoy saying, more than likely it is in Friendsical, because that's a part of it. But even then it's going, well, okay, well, how can you make it even more entertaining? Add music in, but that music parodies music that was featured in Friends as well. You know, We Were on a Break is a parody song of With or Without You by U2, which is the song that plays when when it all kicks off. So yeah, it's that kind of aspect. It's basically just one big quote fest where you go in, it's 2.5 hours, and you just forget the world, and you just watch. It's basically watching Friends on stage.
Which just sounds like a dream to me, I've got to say. Because
Yeah.
it's one show that you never ever get bored with. Like you can sit there and you can watch, and you can. The bit that gets me is when episodes were. That's the only bit when you watch it and you think, "God, this was season 1 or this was season 10." You're like,
Yeah.
Anyway, that confuses me. But it's one show that you'd never get sick. If you love it anyway, you would never ever get sick of. Which is certainly me. I can watch it as many times as you want, basically.
Yeah, and a lot of the cast were Friends fans as well, so they had seen the show countless times. I mean, I was very new to Friends. I only understood what Friends was when I watched it chronologically for the first time in rehearsals. Before then, I had never seen Friends chronologically, and I had never pieced together that actually there is a plot that runs from episode 1 all the way to 236.
That's actually a point to Friends.
Yeah, I had no idea for so long, because I watched the odd episode with Natalie, because my fiance, because she's a huge Friends fan herself, so she had the box set. We watched her. She ended up putting on her favorite episodes whilst we were waiting for our broadband to get fitted in our flat, because we were, you know, we bought an Amazon Fire Stick, but we couldn't use it. So yeah, so we were like, well, we've got to wait before we can get Netflix. So she had the entire box set of Friends, so she started playing episodes from that, which I start seeing a few more episodes that I'd never seen before. And then lo and behold, this opportunity came up, and I went, okay, right, I'm really gonna have to sit down and watch this. And then I didn't even understand the reference "You're My Lobster" until I was in rehearsals. You're My Lobster. I didn't understand it until I finally watched it.
Yeah. Oh, terrible.
I know.
So Adrian asks, when you were auditioning, did you go in thinking Chandler, or how did it work?
In the casting process, when I was asked to come in, it was for the ensemble swing role, and I was, at this point, it was kind of a weird time for me during theatre, because theatre for me had at this point had kind of taken a bit of a back step, because I was in a job. I just recently moved into a flat as well, so I was kind of focusing on that aspect. And me and Natalie had booked a holiday to Tenerife in August, and I got this email come through from my agent, and saying, oh yeah, we'd like you to audition for this. And I'm looking at the dates going, oh, but we booked a holiday in August, and I don't really, Natalie instantly went, "No, you're doing it." It's like, yeah, but, no, you're doing it. Yeah, but we've got a holiday. No, you're doing it. You're doing it. You're going to that audition. You're doing it. And I went, okay, all right, fine. So I go in on ensemble swing role in my head, and then I went along to the audition. I had to sing one song, and I I did the song. I can't even remember what it was, and then had to basically. Miranda had written these little monologues that weren't in the show, but she wrote them specifically for the auditions.
Auditions, yeah.
And so the first one I read as was Chandler, because I went, well, Chandler's the one I can most get behind from what I've seen. I guess I fit into the Chandler category. I'm not a Ross, I'm not a Joey, so yeah, okay, I'll go for him. And so I did the monologue, and what Miranda did for everyone was if she really liked that person, she'd go, "Are you available Friday for a recall?" What a lovely question to ask in an audition room, I tell you. Not a thanks very much, we'll be in touch. It's wonderful. So yeah, and I did it, and it felt good. And then going into the recall, I got the email come through about the recall details, and in that one it said, "We'd like to see you for Chandler." Oh, okay. Well, this is different. And then it ended up being I'm not great in auditions. I'm not a huge fan of auditions, because to me sometimes they feel like job interviews where you can't really show off your personality as much as you'd like. And this was the most fun I ever had in an audition, because it was like a full-on workshop day of you're with a group of other people that look like Ross, Joey, Rachel, Monica, and you're going to do a scene together, and you work together to come up with to do your scene, and then go out and do it in front of all the producers and everything, and learn a dance routine with Michael Vincent. And it was it was a really good fun, really good experience. And I came out of it going, even if I don't get this job, I was just really happy to be in the room, which never happens for me. I'm just like, oh, get me out. Yeah. So, yeah, and then that was it really. Like Chandler was the one I auditioned for. Well, I was asked to be in, and then I was asked if I would also be. I was asked if I'd also read for Ross as well, which I'm guessing maybe it was to play with the idea of the ensemble swing thing or not. I'm not sure. And then I was sat in the corridor. We were all waiting in basically the finals at the end of the day, because it was a long day. And I'm sat there, and in his Ghostbusters t-shirt was Duncan Burt, who had the bubbly personality. He was likable. He was having a laugh with others. He was there, and I'm there looking at him going, "You're up for ensemble as well, aren't you? Yeah. Wow. It's me and you, boy. It's me and you. I've just been asked to be Ross as well as Chandler. You have as well. Right, let's see who gets it. Game on." Lo and behold, I got Chandler and he got ensemble. So we worked together. And what a legend he is, Duncan Burt. My word. Yeah, and I'm waffling because I've forgotten the question already. So
You've answered the question. Don't worry. You've answered the question.
Yeah, I'm waffling now. I'm just chatting. But yeah, no. So yeah, being Chandler, yeah, it was wonderful to be asked to be Chandler, and it was funny because I didn't know the show well enough, and Natalie, as soon as Chandler was in the talk, she went, "Yeah, you're definitely Chandler." I was asking Natalie to coach me on Chandlerisms. She was my coach, my Chandler coach. So a lot of my performance of Chandler Bing would not have come out if it was not for Natalie.
Well, we all thank Natalie, definitely.
Yes.
It's a lot of emphasis, isn't it? Could I be any more excited?
Matthew Perry and I said this in the rehearsal room. He just talks like no one else. He has such a weird way of talking because he, like you said, he emphasizes words that don't need to be emphasized, and everything's sort of broken up into chunks.
There's commas and full stops where there shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, whereas normally if I was talking to you now and I was talking to you like this, and it would be pretty much the same all the way through, and then every now and again you get an intonation come through and you're talking and talking. Whereas if I was talking as Chandler, he has almost this kind of Alexa quality to him, where he kind of, has a different kind of tick to him. It's just very weird. Like, it doesn't.
Yeah,
I don't understand why he talks like that. I've never understood it. But what's great is because it's something so unique to him that it's quite, because I'm a bit of a mimic anyway, that's something there that you can latch onto immediately, because there's almost like a kind of rhythmic thing that he does to it. And being able to use that as a kind of, okay, well, I have to read all of my lines weird was like, that was the foundation. And then obviously he was nailing the accent, and then the bit on top, which really completed Chandler's voice, was in, I think, season 2 or season 3. He got obviously when they were all making a lot of money in the 90s, he got his teeth done. And he kind of had one before, but it wasn't as obvious. So Chandler would often talk like this when I was in the rehearsal room. And then when I got to season 3, he had his teeth done and he had this more pronounced lisp. So it came almost like this. And I realized, well, I'm going to have to add the lisp in, because from season 3 all the way through to season 10, he's got that distinctive lisp that I can hear. So I'm going to have to use that, because people will be more familiar with the way he talked as he was a bit older than he would have been when he first started. And that's the birth of Chandler Bing, Miss Chandler Bong.
That's scary. Yes. And that's obviously used there as a cast.
Oh, look at us. Beautiful, lovely shot. So yeah, that's so me on the left, then you've got Ewan Gillis as Ross, and then in the wedding dress as Rachel, you've got Alexandra Robinson. Phoebe, you have Ali Retberg, and then as Joey in his Knicks jumper, you've got Joshua Steele, and then the wonderful Monica to my Chandler, Tanya Shields there. That was a picture taken at the Churchill Theatre in Bromley.
There we go. You even know where it was taken. But that just screams Friends. Like,
I mean,
screams Friends.
Yeah, they've got it. They got me in the sweater vest. They've got. I mean, you can't quite see it in this shot, but Ewan is wearing the famous red sweater.
We can see it.
Yeah. You got the dressing. You've got the wedding dress and the umbrellas.
Phoebe's coat as well is quite iconic.
Yeah, Phoebe's fur coat, Nick's jumper, all of it. It's just there in a nutshell. Like, you could put that anywhere without any caption and people will know what it's trying to imitate.
I would say you look more like person face-wise, because you look like Matthew Perry to a certain extent. Like, okay, you're not spitting double, but even in this picture, you do look like Chandler.
I wish my bank account looked like Matthew Perry's as well.
I can assure you, so does everybody.
Yeah.
Like, we're getting what, £1 million per episode in the last season or something. It was
$1 million an episode. They all got $1 million an episode. So 6 million an episode to the
just for those cast, just for them, cast.
Not anyone else.
No, yeah, the other cast members and the crew and everything, but it was just 6 million an episode for them.
That's crazy.
It was mad.
Yeah.
Were you getting that per concert? Yeah, per show.
Oh yeah, I was on that. Yeah. I don't know what the others got. I think they got a bit less because, like you said, I looked like Matthew Perry. So
yeah, you
probably got a bit more for lightness as well. I was the.
Moving on. Moving on. Matt wants to know, what's your favourite song in the show?
Oh, so my favourite song in the show is I've got a lot of love for this because I'm in it. It's effectively an argument between me and Monica. And it's called Richard's Moustache. And it is this insane 1970s-ish. It's basically, it takes the mick out of Magnum PI.
Right.
That sort of era and the theme song to Magnum PI. And Barry Bignold wrote this funky disco number where the body of the song, the chorus is Richard Hancy, hunky mustache man. If you can't live up to him, no one can. And it's just the most, it's ridiculously silly. It's so stupid, but I love it so much because all the cast are full out in choreography whilst me and Monica are just having an argument running about the stage. By the end of the song, all of them are just like,
You hurry up and finish your argument.
I'm there just like sitting on the coffee table going, it's just so, it's just ridiculous. And there may or may not be a cameo from Tom Selleck himself. Yeah.
Need to check that out if it goes back in tour.
Yeah.
Matthew asks, not Matthew Perry, different Matthew, asks, what's your favourite channel or line in the musical?
My favourite channel line is, I knew it!
Oh my god, that was scary.
Yeah, it's my favourite line. It gets an amazing reaction every night from all the fans, and when it comes in, it's the most unexpected place. It doesn't, like you do not expect it. There's no lead up to it. It just comes out of nowhere, and it always gets like a big.
That was Chandler though. A lot of Chandler's lines were out of nowhere.
I know. That's what I love about it. Is everyone else has got about 10 pages of script, and then I just have that one line that just takes all the attention away from them.
You get the punchline. I get
the glory. They do all the hard work. I just turn up, say a line, and then I leave, and then I'm gone. And you know what? I'm happy with that. I'm gladly have that as a. So yeah, all of them, all the roles like that, please. That'd be great.
Two more fans' questions. Tom wants to know, if you had to go into lockdown with one's Friends character, who would you do and why? Out of the 6 of them.
Monica.
Why?
Monica, because
she's a clean freak.
Yeah. I wouldn't have to do any housework. And I'm pretty good at not doing housework now. And Natalie is Monica, so effectively I am already living with a Monica in an affectionate way, in a nice
Monica.
And no, she's not. No, it's not like the neuroses you can get used to, because all of the housework, I wouldn't have to cook. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like cooking. I've got a beef bourguignon on in the slow cooker at the moment. Yeah, but yeah, no, definitely Monica, because she could do a lot for you. She's also a great host as well. So imagine the Zoom calls you'd have, imagine the Zoom quizzes you'd have.
But it'd be perfect like that. I couldn't have that.
Yeah, no.
Like,
yeah,
I'm not a tidy person. I couldn't live with Monica. Last question from the fans. Certainly not your last question on the show, but the last question for the fans comes from Rebecca. And she says, have any of the Friends artists has any of the Friends cast seen any clips, or do they even know about the musical? Do you know of that? So like Matthew Perry, Phoebe, the actual cast?
Not that I'm aware of.
So nobody's made any attention? No,
we've not heard anything from them. I think they're probably too busy in Malibu on the beach.
David Swimmer comes over quite a bit, so he
does. But you know, we as obviously we'd love for one of them to come see it. Like imagine how crazy it would be to have David Schwimmer appear out of nowhere, and we could get Ewan and David Schwimmer together in the same room. Would be hilarious. Any
of the cast in
any of the cast though, it would be it would be really cool. But no, sadly we've not heard anything from them. I think, you know, they just sit back and enjoy the royalties of their reruns. They don't go out much. Jennifer just does her odd comedy with Adam Sandler. She just sits back and relaxes now. But no, we haven't heard anything from them. But you know, we're open to a message or acknowledgement. It would be nice, but no pressure. No pressure from any of them.
We'll tag them all in it. Anyway, so obviously you mentioned earlier that you did a bit of studying, i.e. watching the box sets while you were in rehearsals. So I want to put that to the test.
Oh no.
With what I like to call the Chandler quiz.
Oh, why would you do this to me?
Because it's funny.
Okay. All right.
So we've got some questions about Chandler from the show. Not necessarily from Friendsical the musical, because I haven't seen the show yet. I had tickets, but they were due to Miss Rona, they were cancelled. But I will see it if it goes back into it.
Yeah.
I'm sure it will at one point in the future. So question 1 in the quiz. In the pilot episode, Chandler dreams he could be turned into a celebrity. Which celebrity?
It feels like about 10 years ago since I've seen the pilot episode. Most famous person.
He wants to turn into a celebrity.
Oh, can I ask for clues?
She's got a very famous mum. Her mum wanted to go over the rainbow.
Oh, God, Judy Garland's daughter.
Uh-huh.
Oh, what is her name? I can't remember her name.
Liza
Judy
Minnelli.
Garland's daughter.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. It's Liza Minnelli. Yes.
Point. Oh, of course.
Liza Minnelli.
See, that's where like stagey knowledge for me is. I would not have.
Question 2. What interesting body feature does Chandler have, and what does he call it?
Well, much to his dismay, he has a third nipple, which he calls his nubbin.
Nubbin. Well done. 2 points. Right, next one. What was his first ever line in the show?
It's something before it, but the one line I can think of is, "And I won $1 million." But it's not.
There was a line before that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was. So does he have a hump?
Ah, right. Yeah.
You were close though. You were close. What's the fake name? You know this. I mean, you've said it already in the chat. But what's the fake name that Chandler uses for the TV Guide subscription?
It's Miss Chandler Bong.
Well done. 3. Finish the quote. The Messers become the
Messies.
Messies. How many times does he hook up with Monica in London?
In London.
Yes. That was a whole scene just for that number.
Twice.
No, there's more.
No? Because there's
you don't actually see the times. It's a scene that talks about how many times.
Oh right, okay. So it's not like actually, because I was all I can think of. 12.
7. 7. You could have been there for a while to let you go in.
I just
7 times.
Because I was thinking of when they actually showed it, and it was that when they're in he and Monica are in their like Chandler and Joey's bedroom, hotel room, and then in the honeymoon suite. That's the 2 I can remember.
No. 7 times.
Not even close.
You don't actually see the 7 times, obviously.
Not even close.
When Chandler takes a relaxing bath by himself, what object does he bring with him?
Duck.
No, a boat.
Damn it!
What's Chandler's middle name?
Muriel.
Well done.
His parents hated him.
He did, yes. You're doing well. You've got 5 so far. Why does Chandler's job relocate him to Tulsa?
What?
Natalie's going to be disappointed when she watches.
Oh, no idea. They have a big old shake up, and they rebrand, and to cut costs down in their work staff, they move and relocate all their current staff where Chandler works to Tulsa, Oklahoma. I have no idea.
Sorry. He falls asleep. He's falling asleep in meetings.
Oh, I thought. See, I misunderstood the question. I misunderstood the question. I thought you said there was a legitimate reason why he goes to Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Because he falls asleep in meetings, they send him away to Tulsa.
No. Hold on here, Graham Taylor. No, I'm wagging my finger here. That question misled me down the wrong path to an answer, and I'm not having that.
I asked you a question. Anyway, next one. What finally makes Chandler cry in the one where Chandler cries?
Could you please ask the question again? The Zoom meeting cut out.
Of course I can. What finally makes Chandler cry in the one where Chandler can't cry? Obviously they watch Old Yeller and it doesn't make him cry. They watch a few things. What finally does?
Oh, I have no idea. It's been such a long time now. I've made an effort not to watch Friends in lockdown. So as you can imagine,
Rachel making up after a fight.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah.
Where do Monica and Chandler almost get married in season 5 finale?
Las Vegas.
Yeah, almost, yeah. Name his favourite childhood book. Is that not in the musical? I would have thought this would have made the musical because it was a big storyline.
No. Oh, we couldn't fit them all in. Otherwise, the show would be 10 hours long.
Right, true. The Velveteen Rabbit. What does Chandler's mum do for a living?
Oh my god. No, she's an author. No.
Yes.
No, she's an author. Yeah.
A romance novelist. Yes, she writes.
Yes.
Which one of Joey's sisters did Chandler hook up with?
Oh, I put this in a Friends pub quiz, and I can't even remember the answer to it. It's a double-barreled name, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Yeah, Anne Marie.
No, it's Mary Angela.
Mary Angela.
Nearly there. How does Chandler meet Eddie, his roommate, when Joey moves out? Or where?
How does he meet him?
Where does he meet him, or how does he meet him?
Where does he meet him? Oh God. See, I'm just thinking of the two most obvious places, and it's either in his own apartment.
It's not obvious.
Oh, is it not? Oh, okay.
So it's not Central Park or his own apartment.
Right, I don't have an answer then.
It's in a supermarket. They walk into each other in the supermarket.
God, these are tough.
They're not easy Chandler questions. What song does Chandler record himself singing alone on camera?
Ground Control to Major Tom. Space Odyssey by Ziggy Stardust.
Yep. What dish does Chandler make in the last season for Thanksgiving?
Mate, these are just...
They're all easy if you're a fans friend. I bet you...
sure they are.
Amanda'll be able to get them all.
Oh, she would, definitely. And she'd probably be able to tell you what temperature the dish was that day and what time it was filmed at. And
it's cranberries.
What was the name of the runner that handed him the dish? I have no idea.
It's cranberries. He made the cranberries.
Cranberries. They're easy. Of course, Thanksgiving, cranberries, turkey.
Yeah. After Rachel walks into the cafe in the pilot, what does Chandler wish for?
And I want $1 million.
Yes, he does. What is Chandler's dad's name?
Oh, God.
His real name, not the drag name.
Oh, his real name. This is not a good look on me. His dad's real name. Colin.
I was going to say, if you get this without knowing, it would be blooming good. Charles. So you were close with the same letter. And last question.
Thank God.
What is Chandler's last line in the show ever? So in season 10, what is the last thing he says?
Oh, I mean, I might paraphrase it.
One word. It's one word.
It's one word.
It's one word as his last sentence. I think it's actually the last line in the show as well.
I thought
So what did you think? Tell us what you thought it was.
I thought the last line he had was something like, anyone know a good place to go? Because it was to do with getting a coffee.
It is, but all he says to that is where.
Oh, well, consider that an over paraphrase.
So yeah, I'll give you that one. I'll allow you that one because it is technically where should we go.
Yeah.
But it's literally just line because it's that makes it funny because obviously they've been going to Central Perk for 10 years. Where are they going to go for coffee? Well, no. I'm almost sure that's the last thing I ever said in Friends.
I think it is. Yeah, it is because it is because he says it as they're walking out.
As they're all walking out.
And then it does, and then they go down the stairs, and then it's that nice little poetic pan
of the basically studio
to the mirror frame. Oh.
But yeah, that's the saddest episode of a TV show ever. Anyway, that's us. You got 10, by the way. You got half points. You got half score. So you did not bad.
It's not as good as Tom Mitchell with the rugby team for Great Britain in Rio in 2016 when they won the silver medal.
I love it. Yes, that's true. That's true. Anyway, last bit before we go is the bit we do with everybody, and that's the not so quick fire round.
Okay.
You'll understand in a minute why it's called the not so quick fire round, why we had to change its name. And first question there is, what would be your dream role? So if a director said you could have any role, regardless of age or race, not gender, we'll come to that in a minute.
Okay.
What would it be?
I would, because it's, and this might answer another question as well, I'm not sure, but because it's a show I have I would love to be a part of it. I would love to be Leo Frank in Parade.
Oh, that's a good one. Yes.
Yeah, I absolutely love that character journey.
That's not been done in the West End for a while, has it? It's not been done.
No, the last time it was done in a commercial theatre was at the Dunmar. The Dunmar. That was a nice little crack there. Yeah, you haven't warmed up for this Zoom meeting. The Dunmar. That
was even a few years ago, wasn't it? That was quite a few years ago.
2007, I think. Yeah, Bertie Carvel.
13 years.
Yeah, but I think it's due a revival. Come on, I think it had a better success. I think it had a better success in the West End than it did on Broadway.
I think you could be right. Yes.
Yeah, I think
I'm sure that. Yeah.
But I absolutely love the show.
It's fantastic.
I love Leo Frank as a character as well, and Jason Robert Brown music. I mean, come on.
What more do you want?
Yeah.
Yes. What more do you want? Anyway, moving on. What is your dream gender bend role? So that is a role that's traditionally played by a female.
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. I think because I am a fan of jukebox musicals and I am a fan of feel-good musicals. I would probably, because of the music you get to sing, Carole King.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and Beautiful, I think would be a wonderful role. I really, really enjoyed Scylla.
I never saw that, but yes.
I really enjoyed Scylla. I thought,
I love Scylla.
Cara Lily Hayworth was fantastic in it. And it was a really, really nice tribute to Cilla Black, that show. It was just nice. It's just nice to just go and listen to her music sang live.
Surprise.
But I think with Carole King, with her music that she wrote, you've really got like a nice like mixture of different types of songs that are featured in Beautiful. And I think if I had to do a gender bend,
I thought was Beautiful was King. I saw Beautiful, and I'd be honest that I didn't know the name Carole King. I knew the name Carole King, but I never attached it to any songs.
Yeah.
And when I saw Beautiful for the first time, I'm like, I didn't know that was Carole King. I didn't know that was Carole King. I didn't know that was Carole King. It's amazing the amount of hits that she's had. And we'll actually get to see you playing that role, if you like, in our. This is an exclusive, actually. We've not announced this yet. In our gender swap or gender reverse concert that we'll be doing in the near future. We don't have a date set for it yet, but keep an eye on our socials, because Thomas will be singing a Carole King song in that. So keep an eye on that. We will keep you up to date on that socials. Anyway, moving on.
What a great
favorite
segue that was. That was so. It wasn't planned at all.
No.
Not planned at all.
What is your favourite musical theatre song in general? Not necessarily one you've performed, but just in general.
Favorite musical theatre song in general.
That's the hardest question. That's the hardest question.
It is a hard one because my musical theatre knowledge isn't as big as it would appear to be, but I really enjoy a fun song, something upbeat that has something catchy to it. And funnily enough, this came up in my my memories on Facebook recently. It was a couple of years ago. I worked with a BTEC diploma academy for performing arts called Jam Theatre.
All right, yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah, set in Marlow, and they asked me to come on board and be their Doug Panch in their version of 25th County Putnam County Spelling Bee, 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee.
We knew what you meant, don't worry.
Yeah. And I just love the music in it. The music in it is really good, and I love the playful comedic, the way that comedy musicals are written, and they have really good strong music to them.
Yeah.
And what I loved about Spelling Bee is that it wasn't a show designed for the big theatres. It was designed for smaller theatres. It was always been designed for, like fringe venue size theatres, or something that's not overly massive. Like you wouldn't see it in the
theatre on the West End.
Yeah, you wouldn't see. Yeah, the Arts. You wouldn't see it in the Palladium. It's something because they're my favourite theatres. I love intimate theatres. I love performing in intimate spaces.
It's basically that's the kind of what this is made for, is it not?
That's correct. Yeah, and a lot of comedy musicals are designed for intimate spaces. I think one of my favourite intimate spaces is the Cheltenham Everyman. It's a really, really nice theatre. It's a Matcham theatre, really small. It's about 450, but it doesn't, like, that sounds like a lot of people, but when you come on stage and you see the auditorium, the way it's been designed, everyone's really, really close, and you get that nice feeling. And songs from, say, Spelling Bee, I just really, every now and again, I just get the opening song stuck in my head, the 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, and it just gets stuck in my head. But no, like a favorite, I don't really have a favorite, because I'm very open-minded as to what I enjoy. I don't really have like a set thing. I don't have like an album that I listen to again and again and again. So yeah, I mean, if I had to pick one, it would be a long Spelling Bee, and I'd probably shift it to Book of Mormon.
Mm-hmm.
And I would probably say my favorite musical theatre song, like if I had a gun pointed to my head and I had to sing from Book of Mormon, or like sing from.
Watch you're singing here, because it's a family show.
No, it's I love the setup from 2x2.
All right, yeah.
I just there's something about it that's just so over the top and dramatic in terms of it sets everything up. Like, it's the one that like establishes, okay, this is how the story's going to play out now. This is what's going to happen. But you do it with these people in shirts and ties going, I love it. It's just, every time I hear it, I can just picture that choreography of them doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, 2x2, Book of Mormon. I'll go with that one.
Yeah,
why not? It means
Book of Mormon is a classic, definitely.
It means we can move on and I can stop talking.
Last question is, what is your top 5 shows?
Ooh, okay. Top 5 shows. Is this top 5 shows I've seen?
It can be any top, whether you've seen or been in, or however combination you want to make it.
Ooh, okay. So my top 5, not in any particular order.
No,
There's
it
no
doesn't have to
like,
be.
no. So Jersey Boys is up there.
Mhm.
Jersey Boys is one of my favorites. One of the only, well, Jersey Boys and Book of Mormon actually, because they are the only musical theatre shows that I've seen more than once.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. So those two. I also really, well, Parade's up there, definitely. No, without question. If any, like Parade is like my ultimate favorite. I'm also a big fan of. Yeah, sorry, Buddy Holly Story. That's up there, just because of how fun it is. It's just fun.
Yeah.
That's what I enjoy. And for number 5, just trying to think of what I've seen now. You go, oh, what? Number 5. I think I would have to go. Oh yeah, Avenue Q.
Oh, that's a good one. Yes. So
Avenue
you
Q.
like the comedies then? You
Yeah,
definitely like the comedies.
Ignoring Parade, of course, because
Yeah. It's not real com-
it's my favorite because it's one of the only musicals that's actually really sad. And that's why I like it. But I love comedy. I love just having a good time. I love escapism where you're just there just to have a laugh
Yeah.
and enjoy yourself a bit rather than go in and learn or get a message or have this kind of like a lot of musicals, and I love them and I appreciate them that they have their messages and meanings, but sometimes I just want to have a couple of Prosecco's and just have a giggle.
Yeah.
So and pretty much I'm always thrown into comedy shows, or I am the comedy part in shows. So I have a well, there you go. I mean, I'm playing one of the most famous comedy characters in sitcom history, being typecast in that, But I mean, if anyone wants to give me King George in Hamilton, that'd be lovely. Thank you very much. Just putting it out there. If anyone wants me for King George, just let me know. Yep. But yeah, no, feel good shows. I've always been in shows that entertain people with comedy and feel good, and I like people coming out and having been an usher and a front of house member of staff. I've seen so many shows, I've seen so many comedies, I've seen so many straight plays, so many ones that go a bit delve into physical theater and try things out in a kind of weird way. I've seen like the Ken Wright murder mysteries that draws in so many people just because even though they're so cheesy, they're a laugh to watch.
Yeah.
And every time with comedy shows, when the audience come out, or comedy and feel good shows, whenever the audience come out, they've got a smile on their face. They're really, really chatty and talking about it. The atmosphere is really bubbly. Whereas if it's something quite serious and dramatic and has a message and a meaning behind it, and it's very philosophical, everyone comes out having deep conversations, and the atmosphere has a bit of a lull because it's kind of, oh, what did you think to that? Oh, it was got very dark towards the end, didn't it? Oh, I didn't expect that from the. And when you have people walking out, of the theatre wanting to go for another drink in the theatre bar even though it's closed, that's when the show's been a hit.
Yeah.
Because they want to stay in the theatre. And a lot with comedy shows and feel good musicals, everyone wants to stay in and have another drink.
Very true.
And I've that's what I've found. So yeah, a lot of just be lighthearted and have a good old laugh.
Great. That's brilliant. So that brings us to the end. The last bit before we go is you can relax slightly.
Woo!
One more thing to do before you go. Have you heard of the Ice Bucket Challenge?
The Ice Bucket Challenge.
Yeah, the Ice Bucket Challenge.
Yes, I have.
You have, right. We're not going to make you do it. Don't worry. You can relax.
Thank God.
2 reasons why we say that. We mentioned that. Firstly, just to see your reactions because it's great fun. Because we don't ever tell you this before the show, just to get your reaction. And secondly, as obviously at the end of when you did the Ice Bucket Challenge, at the end, you had to nominate somebody to do the next one. But what we've come up with is the West End Talks nomination. And so we're going to get you to nominate somebody. It can be minimum, as many as you want, but obviously a minimum of one, to do the next talk. Not necessarily the next talk, but a talk after this. It can be anyone from TV, film, or theatre, because we're doing all of them. Preferably somebody you know, because the whole point is you to help us get them in.
Yes.
So who would you, as I say, minimum one, but as many as you want, who would you like to nominate?
Number one at the top of my list is Duncan Burt.
Fantastic, yeah.
Because he is a phenomenal actor, musical theatre. His knowledge of musical theatre as well is unbelievable. Honestly, he's so passionate about musical theatre, and he's a very, very, very good friend of mine. Even though I thought we were competing for the same role in auditions, yeah, he was. Yeah, Duncan Burt, definitely. He's also a part of the West End Best Friend social media group. So obviously worth checking out. So yeah, definitely get him on, Duncan Burt. Another I would also suggest as a nomination from something a bit different, from News Review.
Okay.
And I worked with him on a Fringe show a couple of years ago, is Brett Sinclair.
Right, I know the name.
Definitely worth having on. He's a part of the news. He's been a part of the News Review cast. He did Edinburgh Fringe, and my third one that I think would love to come on your show, and I think would be very, very nice to have on, is Christina Bianco.
Well, we've already had her.
Have you already had her?
Yeah.
Oh, forget it then.
Literally 2 or 3 episodes ago. She was the first episode of season 2.
He did about 25 in 1 week. I lose track. So, all right. Well, yes. Well, stuff her then. Forget it. Yeah.
So how do you know Christina?
So we met last year at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival.
Right.
While she was there doing her impression show, I was there with Friendsical. And so we happened to meet up. She invited me to come. She came to watch Friendsical, and then she invited me to come see her show. And then we just had a drink in the checkpoint bar with me and a couple with Natalie and a couple of Duncan and Jordan Fox. Oh, Jordan Fox. Have him
from Kinky Boots.
Kinky Boots.
And
beautiful.
Lots more.
Yeah, that'll do. Jordan Fox.
Okay.
Absolute angel.
Yes, I've certainly met him a few times. Yeah. That's right. So what you need to do now is when you come off the chat, go into Twitter, put up a tweet, say you've just done your talk with West End Talks, and tag those people in it. You can tag Christina as well, just to say that you did nominate her, and tag Jordan and Duncan and Eddie as well. So tag them all in that post, and we'll get that sorted. But that's us. We have come to the end.
What's my fee
for this?
How much would I get?
Oh, for each person.
For nominating. Do I get like a referral code? You know, like they do on Deliveroo. Do I get like a Subway sandwich for free or something? Or?
Yeah, we'll sort something out. Yeah, we'll sort something.
That'd be nice.
You get to be part of the concert.
A few nectar points would be nice.
Yeah, it's some West End top points.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much for joining us. All that's left for you guys at home to remember is the reason we're here. Obviously, we were here to learn about Thomas, but obviously more so to raise money, very much needed funds for Acting for Others. A great, absolutely fantastic charity that helped throughout the year to the acting community in general. So that's on and off stage. The link is in the bio below, so please, if you can give anything at all, it'll be much appreciated. And join us next time when our next guest is something a bit different. We're going completely away from theatre this time, and we're going to the Circle, which was on Channel 4 twice. It's been on twice, and we've got Tim Wilson, the professor who was the fans winner on the season 2, and he was friends with Zoe Ball's son. Did you watch the Circle?
No, I missed it. I'm not great at things like that. I was never really into Like
Really?
the only thing I watched reality TV wise was I'm a Celebrity, get me out of here. That's probably as far as I go. I don't.
That's even in jeopardy this year because of coronavirus. It might be in
No.
Scotland. It looks like it could be in Scotland rather than Australia.
Ah, yeah.
It looks like that's the rumours anyway. Obviously,
Getting
we don't know
stranded
that
on
for
an
definite.
island in the middle of the loch. Yes.
Yeah, or at Spooky Castle or something. You can get. Oh yeah, there's loads of places we could. To be honest, there's a lot of celebrities I would just desert full stop, but that's a different story. That's a completely different show. Anyway, join us then when we'll have Tim Wilson. But once again, Thomas, thank you very much for joining us. It's been an absolute privilege to get to know you. And guys, take care.
Thank you
Bye
so
now.
much for having me. Bye.
If you knew Peggy Sue, then you know why I feel blue without Peggy, my Peggy Sue. Oh, well, I love you, Gally, I love you, Peggy Sue.